After promising they'd be there for me, post-surgery, my parents ghosted me for a beach getaway. I had no heat, no food, and nearly passed out alone. When I texted for help, my dad replied, "You're being dramatic. We needed this break." I just said, "So did I." 2 weeks later, I did something that made them wish they'd never left the airport. I'm writing this from a friend's couch, blanket over my knees, leg throbbing, the house dead silent except for the hum of their fridge. It's 4:12 a.m., and I haven't slept. Not really. I keep replaying everything in my head like it'll make more sense the second time through. Spoiler, it doesn't. What kind of parents say they'll be there for your recovery and then vanish to sip margaritas on a beach like you're not laid up with a busted leg and no one to help you pee? Let me back up. So I had surgery, not open heart or brain transplant stuff, but enough to knock me off my feet. Torn ACL, full reconstruction. I can't drive, can't walk without crutches. The doc literally said, "You'll need someone around for the first week at least." My parents insisted they'd help. My mom even started a group chat, recovery squad, with emojis and everything. She was all, "We've got you, sweetie. Just focus on healing." They live upstairs. I rent the bottom half of the house. That's how it's been since I finished college. Cheaper than getting my own place and close enough to help when they needed it. Which, let's be honest, is all the time. Need the Wi-Fi reset? Call me. Need the printer to work? Me. When my younger brother Josh, 29, married, golden retriever in human form, locked himself out of his apartment last month, who drove across town with a spare key he wasn't even supposed to have. Yours truly. So, surgery day comes. Everything goes fine. I get home groggy, doped up, and my mom sets me up on the recliner downstairs. She brings me water. She even fluffs a pillow. For a second, I think, hey, maybe this time will be different. My dad checks in briefly, tells me not to worry about anything. They've got it all under control. I fall asleep smiling. By the next day, things are quieter. No breakfast tray, no meds reminder. I figure maybe they're just letting me rest. I text the group chat at noon. Can someone help me change the ice pack? No response. At 2 o'clock, I try calling my mom. Straight to voicemail. My stomach's twisting a little, but I tell myself maybe they ran out. Maybe Josh needed something. Maybe. Day 2. Still radio silence. I'm down to half a bottle of water and a bruised banana. My meds are upstairs where someone, thanks Dad, put them on the top shelf. I nearly wipe out trying to reach them. I text again. I call. I even leave a voice message, which I never do. Still nothing. Then around 5:30 p.m., I call Josh. He answers with wind in the background and some kind of steel drum music. I say, "Where are you guys?" He laughs and goes, "The resort has killer reception, huh? We're in Cabo." Like it's a casual Tuesday. I don't even get a, "How are you?" Just, "We needed this break." I tell him I'm stuck here. No food, no meds. I'm in pain. He sighs like I'm ruining his vacation and says, "You're being dramatic. You always do this. You'll survive." I whispered, "So did I need a break?" But I didn't get one. He just hung up. I haven't told anyone yet. Not even my closest friend. I'm just here with my brace, the crusty freezer meals I somehow dragged from the back of the fridge, and this weird hollow space in my chest I can't fill. If this is how they show up when I'm vulnerable, maybe it's time I show them what not showing up really looks like. The next morning, I woke up on the couch with the taste of metal in my mouth. My body ached like I'd been hit by a truck, and the first thought I had was, maybe they're back. Maybe it was some awful joke, a misunderstanding, and I'd open the door to find my mom with a grocery bag and my dad saying something dumb like, "You thought we left for real?" But the house was still empty. Quiet in that way that doesn't feel peaceful. Just abandoned. I checked the group chat again. The last message was my mom's, "Don't forget to elevate your leg," from 2 days ago. That little ghost of effort. My reply? "I can't even get to the meds you put out of reach." Still unread. Left undelivered like I didn't exist anymore. I was starving. Like dizzy hungry. I hobbled to the kitchen and took inventory again. Expired milk, a heel of bread, an old ketchup packet. The kind of sad fridge only apocalypse survivors could make a meal out of. I stared at the freezer for a while, trying to will it full. It wasn't. The meals I prepped were all gone. I guess they ate them. They said they'd restock. They didn't. So, I ordered food. Dragged myself to the door when the driver rang, nearly toppled forward trying to unlock it. Got my lukewarm bag of takeout and sat on the floor because the couch felt too far away. That's when I got the text. From my dad. No apology, no check-in. Just, "Don't be so dramatic. You're not a child. We needed this break." Like they were the ones recovering from surgery. Like my needing help was the inconvenience. And I don't know. I just replied, "So did I." That was it. I turned off my phone and sat in the dark with my food in my lap and that phrase echoing in my head like a bell I couldn't unring. So did I. Because I did. I needed rest. I needed support. I needed to not feel like a goddamn afterthought in my own life. But apparently, needing anything makes you a burden. I started thinking back to every time I bailed them out, covered for Josh's late payments, helped my dad figure out online bill pay, fixed their printer every 2 weeks, drove my mom to her appointments because Josh was too busy. All those times I was useful. Not loved. Useful. And now, I was none of those things. Just a liability. A temporary problem to be ignored with cocktails and beach selfies. So I started making a list on my notes app, titled it, All the Shit I Did That They Forgot. Item 1. Lent Josh $300 for rent when he and his wife forgot about their lease deadline. Never got it back. Item 2. Spent 2 days fixing dad's side hustle website for free, even though I was sick. Item 3. Gave up my room when my aunt visited, slept on the couch for a week without being asked. It kept going. And with every bullet point, I could feel something inside me hardening. Not rage. Not yet. Just this quiet resolve. They wanted a vacation from me? Cool. Let's see what life feels like when I finally take a vacation from them. By day 4, the silence was louder than any argument we'd ever had. I was basically living in a compression sock and microwave burritos, taking sponge baths with a wet rag and cursing the stairs like they were my personal Everest. My leg throbbed. My brain felt like static, and still, no one called. No one checked in. But you know what did happen? My brother's wife posted an Instagram story, a boomerang of their champagne glasses clinking, with the caption, "Much-needed family reset. Beach vibes. No filter needed." I paused the video, zoomed in. There they were. Mom in a big floppy hat, dad red-faced with that ugly beach tank he thinks is charming, Josh throwing a peace sign. The whole crew, minus the one person they promised not to leave behind. And the caption? Much-needed family reset, like I was the reason the system glitched. Like cutting me out was what finally brought them peace. I didn't cry. I wish I had. Would have felt more human. Instead, I went back to my list. By then it had grown into something less like venting and more like, well, documentation. Receipts, literal and emotional. I dug through emails, texts, bank apps, labeled things, made folders. Josh's unpaid Venmo requests, grocery receipts I covered just this once. Screenshots of texts where my mom guilted me into canceling plans to help her move patio furniture. Then I opened the shared family Dropbox folder. Now, my dad's not exactly tech-savvy, which is why he's always had me handle the back end of their digital life. I set up the shared drive. I organized their files, taxes, documents, budgets. Guess whose name is tied to half the logins? I wasn't snooping. Not really. Just revisiting what I'd already built, what I'd been trusted with when they needed me. And that's when I saw it. A PDF labeled Trust Revision Draft, March. Opened it, skimmed, then stopped cold. There it was. Contingency clause. In the event of incapacitation of any beneficiary, secondary caretaking responsibility shall not fall to redacted due to prior demonstrated emotional unreliability. That was me. Redacted in the draft. But clearly me, because I'd heard that phrase before. My mom said it once in a fight last year, threw it at me like a knife. You're just too emotionally unreliable. That's why we can't depend on you. They weren't just forgetting me. They were writing me out. I shut the laptop and just sat there staring at my reflection in the blank screen, my face all puffy and sallow under the kitchen light, and then something inside me shifted. I started making a second list, not of what I'd done for them, but of everything they wouldn't know how to do without me. Wi-Fi login? Changed it. Shared bank alerts? Disabled. Streaming passwords? Wiped. Every account logged out. Their digital lives? I'd built it all. And if I'm not part of the family reset? Cool. They can reset without me. I didn't say anything dramatic. I didn't post a call out. I just left. I called a rideshare, grabbed my essentials, and hobbled out the back door. My neighbor saw me through the fence. "You okay?" he asked. I just said, "Yeah, just finally moving on." Update 1. Hey, wasn't expecting this to blow up. Thanks for the support and the DMs. Some of y'all are unhinged, and I mean that with love. Quick update. They got back today. I didn't text, didn't call, but I did leave a little surprise. Not revenge, not sabotage, just clarity. I dropped a folder in the shared drive titled Forgotten Files. Inside, every receipt, every bill, every sacrifice, labeled, dated. With a final note, "You said I was dramatic. Here's the data. I haven't heard back. But judging by the Wi-Fi name change I set, you needed this break. I think they got the message." You ever do something bold, like really bold, and then immediately wonder if you've made the biggest mistake of your life? That was me the second I stepped out of the house and into the rideshare. My backpack dug into my spine, my knee brace was rubbing wrong, and the whole ride I kept expecting a call, a text, something. But it stayed dead quiet. I got to my friend Eva's place around 9 p.m. She's not even a best friend or anything. We went to college together, swapped memes, talked once about going in on a Costco membership. But when I texted her in desperation, she just replied, "You okay? Come through." No questions, no guilt, just space. She gave me the guest room, The real kind, not the you can crash here for a night but don't get comfortable vibe. She handed me the Wi-Fi password, pointed to the fridge, said, use what you need. That kind of kindness hits different when your own parents just ditched you for ocean breezes and daiquiris. That first night, I slept for 10 straight hours. No pain meds, no hunger. Just quiet. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. Not around me. On my phone. The group chat exploded. First was a message from my mom. Where are you? Why isn't the Wi-Fi working? Then my dad chimed in. You changed the router settings? This isn't funny. Fix it now. I didn't reply, just watched. Then Josh dropped in with, bro, seriously? You're being petty as hell. You can't just walk away from family like this. Like I was the one who walked away. Then silence, followed by the first call, then the second. I ignored both. Then came the message that finally broke something open inside me. From Dad. I didn't raise you to be vindictive. You're acting like a spoiled child. You chose this. So I finally answered. I didn't yell, didn't curse, just typed, I didn't choose anything. You left. You ghosted me during a medical recovery. You forgot me. I'm just adjusting to that reality. He read it. Didn't respond. Instead, an hour later, Josh sent me this. Mom's crying. You happy? Oh, now it's a problem. Now there's emotion. Now there's damage, but only because it's inconvenient. Not because they hurt me. Not because I was left to rot in my own sweat and pain while they sipped cocktails. Because now they're embarrassed. Now they can't stream Netflix. Now the password manager's locked. Now the little scaffolding I always provided, quietly, invisibly, loyally, is gone. And they have no idea how much they depended on it. Eva brought me coffee that afternoon and didn't ask questions. Just handed me the mug and said, you don't have to go back. She's wrong, though. I do. Not to stay, but to finish this. To let them know that this time, the reset goes both ways. I didn't go back right away. I let them sit in it. The silence, the confusion, the inconvenience of suddenly realizing I wasn't just around. I was the scaffolding their lives leaned on. The one who remembered the logins, reset the router, paid the overdraft, ordered the meds, fixed the goddamn thermostat. The stuff no one noticed until it stopped working. You know what happened when the dust settled? They tried to gaslight me. Josh texted first, classic charm offensive. Look, things got out of hand. We didn't mean to leave you stranded. We just thought you had it under control. You're always the strong one. Strong one. That phrase always tastes like metal. Then my mom called. I didn't pick up, but she left a voicemail. Voice trembling just enough to sound delicate, but not actually remorseful. Sweetheart, we're home. I didn't realize how bad things got. Your father and I, we were just so tired. We needed the break. If you'd told us you were struggling, really told us, we would have come back. Like I hadn't begged them on the second day. Like I hadn't nearly passed out trying to get to a frozen meal while she posted beach selfies with hashtags like #ZenMom. Still no apology, just revisionist history. So I sent them a file, a link to a Dropbox folder. No message, just titled, While You Were Gone. Inside, voice memo recordings of me struggling to get up the stairs. Screenshots of unanswered texts, a time-stamped photo of the fridge, completely empty except for mustard and an expired yogurt. A Google Doc listing every documented thing I've covered for them in the past 3 years. At the end, a single sentence. This is what abandonment looks like. I just wanted you to see it. Hours passed. Then my dad texted, what do you want from us? And that is when something in me just snapped. Because they still thought this was about wanting something. An apology, a check, a seat at their table, like I was bargaining. So I typed, nothing. That's the whole point. I'm done wanting anything from people who only notice I exist when the Wi-Fi goes out. Then I blocked them. Not out of spite, out of peace. Real, honest peace for the first time in my damn life. I wish I could say it felt amazing right away. It didn't. It felt like floating, untethered. No parents, no role, just me, this busted knee, and a space where something used to be. But Eva made soup that night. And when she handed me a bowl and said, you don't owe them another minute, I started to believe her. So here's what I didn't expect. The silence felt good, like too good. I kept waiting for guilt to creep in, for that familiar ache in my chest, the one that always followed after I stood up for myself, like I'd said too much, or been too harsh, or made things awkward. But this time, nothing, just air. Eva offered to let me stay longer, said I could chill as long as I needed, and I did, for a while. But after a few days, I realized something. I didn't want to hide. I wasn't ashamed. I didn't cause the fracture. I just stopped taping it back together. So I started living like someone who deserved peace. Got a foldable desk, set up in the corner of Eva's guest room. Started freelancing again. Small jobs at first. A logo here, a website tweak there. I hadn't worked since the surgery, but slowly I felt my brain reignite. Not just functioning, creating. I didn't think about them much until the envelope arrived. It was thick, handwritten, my mom's cursive on the front. I stared at it for a full 5 minutes before I opened it. Inside was a 4-page letter. The first line, "We didn't know you'd take it so personally." I could have stopped reading right there, honestly, but I didn't. I kept going, because some part of me still needed, to know if they got it, if it clicked. Spoiler, it didn't. Page after page of excuses. How they'd checked in via group chat, which they hadn't. How they thought I was resting, while I texted them, "I need help." How Josh didn't mean to sound cruel when he told me to stop guilt-tripping him mid-ski lift. And then, on page 4, the kicker. "We all needed that trip, not just you. You act like you're the only one struggling." That sentence. I read it 5 times. I'd asked for help. They left. I nearly fell down the stairs trying to feed myself. And somehow, I was the selfish one. I folded the letter back up, put it in the trash, and pulled out my phone. Blocked Josh's number again. He'd tried calling from a new one. Blocked Mom and Dad's emails. Shut down the last shared calendar reminder we had left. Dad's birthday. BBQ. I wasn't going. Let someone else carry the cake. Update 2. South. Something happened. Something I hadn't planned. Turns out my dad's business PayPal was still linked to an email I set up back when I built his online storefront, his side hustle selling antique sports memorabilia. I'd forgotten all about it until I started getting payment pings. He never changed the recovery address. I didn't touch a cent. Not one. But I did something else. I sent a message to every buyer from the last month. A polite one. Just a simple, "If your order was delayed, it's because the site owner was on vacation. Thank you for your patience." No lies, no shade, just facts. Apparently, one buyer was a collector with a big following. He screenshotted the message, posted it with a caption. "Guess this guy ghosts customers the same way he ghosts his own kid recovering from surgery." It blew up. Their shop's rating tanked. Emails started flooding in. My dad finally texted me, from his number this time. Just one sentence. "You've made your point." And I smiled. Because no, I hadn't. Not yet. I want to be very clear. I didn't start any of this to get back at them. I didn't change passwords or drop receipts to make them miserable. I did it because I had to stop pretending like I was still part of a family that would literally step over me to get to duty-free tequila and a beachside brunch buffet. But when my dad texted me, "You've made your point," all smug, like he still had the high ground, like I was the problem, I laughed. Out loud. Because he still didn't get it. The point wasn't that he'd left me. It was that I finally left him. I left all of them. And I wasn't just gone physically. I'd started detangling every last piece of my presence from their lives. I reached out to the accountant who helped set up the LLC for Dad's shop. Yes, the same one I'd set up the backend for, filed forms for, even registered the domain. Let's just say, I let him know I no longer managed anything related to that business, and if they kept using my name or any of the credentials I'd provided, we were going to have a very official problem. Then I canceled the subscription for the website hosting, gave them a 7-day grace period to switch it over. No pettiness, just a polite professional note. You will need to assume ownership of your own digital infrastructure moving forward. Effective immediately. I didn't hear back, but I saw the site go dark a week later. Eva called it my quiet, scorched earth tour. She wasn't wrong, but it wasn't about fire. It was about clearing space. For once in my life, I was choosing me. Then, right when I thought the fallout was done, that maybe they'd finally give up, I got a message from an unknown number. It was Josh. Of course it was Josh. It read, "They're freaking out. Mom's been crying nonstop. You proved your point. You win. Just come home and fix it." And that right there, was when I realized they hadn't learned a damn thing. Because this wasn't about winning. There was no scoreboard. No final boss fight. This was about them finally feeling the emptiness they created, the weight of all the things they never had to notice until I stopped holding them. So I replied, "If I'd really wanted to win, I would have let the world see who you are. But I didn't. I kept most of it private. Be grateful for that." He didn't respond. But 2 hours later, my dad's Venmo pinged me. $200. Caption, "For the surgery food." I didn't accept it. Didn't decline it either. Just left it hanging there. Like an unanswered doorbell. Let them sit with that the way they left me sitting with freezer-burnt burritos in silence. Because I've still got one move left. And they're not gonna like it. I wish I could say the final act was explosive. Like I stormed in, dropped some mic-worthy monologue, and watched their faces crack in real time. That's what part of me wanted. Maybe still wants. But that's not how real life works. Sometimes, the loudest revenge is nothing. So here's what I did. I waited until I could walk without crutches. Just barely. Still sore, but upright. I parked on the street. Didn't pull into the driveway. Didn't give them the satisfaction of hearing the tires crunch up the path they used to make me shovel every winter like I owed them. I walked to the mailbox, opened the flap, and slid in a padded envelope. Inside, a single USB drive, labeled, "You'll want to watch this." It wasn't malicious. It wasn't illegal. It was a compilation of everything. Video logs I'd recorded while recovering, sweating, limping, crying at one point because I dropped a glass of water and couldn't reach the towel. Screenshots of unanswered pleas, a time lapse of the fridge slowly emptying while no one came. Even the voicemail from Josh where he laughed and said, "I'd be fine." And then, at the very end, just a silent 30-second clip of me, staring into the camera, saying nothing, because there was nothing left to say. I turned around, walked back to my car and drove off. Didn't look in the rear view. I haven't heard from them since. Not one word, no calls, no texts, no emails. But I did notice something a week later. The family group chat vanished. I wasn't just removed. They deleted the whole thread, like it never existed, like I never existed. And I think that hurt worse than any of the yelling or guilt-tripping ever could have, because they didn't fight for me. They erased me, quietly, efficiently, like formatting a hard drive. But here's what they don't know. I've rebuilt more in the last month than I did in the last 5 years living in their house. I moved in with Eva, permanently. We're not dating or anything, just safe, comfortable. She's more family than anyone in my bloodline ever tried to be. I launched my freelance site, got my first 3 clients, paid my own rent, and the other night, when I walked into the kitchen and Eva had bought me my favorite chips and taped a dumb sticky note to the bag that said, "Emergency snack surgery, stat," I laughed so hard I nearly dropped them. Because for once, I wasn't surviving someone else's neglect. I was living my own life, not as the backup plan, not as the fixer, not as the forgotten sibling or ghost in the guest room, just as me. And that's the only win I ever wanted.